Welcome, Ultimate fans, to Ultimate World's live streaming coverage of the 2021 USA Ultimate Division III College Championships, coming to you from Norco, California at the Silver Lakes Sports Complex. I'm Keith Rayner, joined by Jenna Weiner, and we have a semifinal matchup, the Final Four in the Division III. On the women's side of the bracket, we have the #1 overall seed, Truman State, taking on the #4 seed, Middlebury. And both of these teams have been dominant, as have the teams in the other semifinals. So there's a lot of these teams will match up against one another now that they've conquered the rest of the division.
Absolutely. The top seeds in the Division III women's field remaining largely unchallenged throughout pool play and the bracket. With these two teams facing off in the semifinal, it will arguably be the first time either team has truly been challenged. Well, the Truman State did play a close game in pool play with Michigan Tech, but that's about as close as anyone has come to either of these teams coming into this semifinal matchup.
Through 4 games, these teams are both giving up an average of less than 6 goals. That is true dominance. Truman State winning their quarterfinal 15-2. I think Middlebury's was 15-6. So not even close against teams that had proven to be top 8 teams in the division. Now we're working with small sample sizes here. It's been a short tournament in some ways. And of course, Truman State, the #1 seed, the favorite with all the experience they have on their roster. And one of the biggest challenges they face has actually been, because of COVID, they have lost a couple players who have been considered close contacts or positive tests.
Yeah, Truman State, one of 6 teams here in Norco to be affected in some form or another by COVID. 4 graduated players being ruled ineligible, no longer able to compete for Truman State because of COVID close contact protocols. Truman State coming into the weekend known a bit as the only team with more graduated players than non-graduated players. With those 4 out, that's maybe not quite so much the case, but the top seed still has a ton of veteran talent against a very solid Middlebury team.
So a collision course between the top 4. We'll see who will survive these first tests to make it to the final. Who will be able to be crowned the Division III champion for this 2021 season. Truman in the whites, getting ready to pull to Middlebury in those classic hot pink uniforms the pranksters are known for. We are underway in this semifinal. Kezia Wilde centering the disc for Middlebury. But a quick mistake from the Middlebury offense and a break chance to start. Grace Valentine missing on that underthrow. Now it's Lauren Wiggins initiating play for Truman and immediately looking deep. Gets him onto the goal line. Manny Mariucci with the disc. And Mariucci throws it in the end zone for a quick score and a break. Truman State jumps out to the early lead.
Not a great start if you're Middlebury, but a fantastic start for Truman State. The top seeds getting the early advantage. Middlebury execution error early to give Truman State that short field. Doesn't take long for the top seeds to punch it in.
Based on the scores, that's got to be one of the only breaks that Middlebury's given up the entire season. So how will they respond to that? I mean, this is a big environment for this team. A lot of pressure that maybe doesn't exist in most of their normal tournaments. You don't have a full season to kind of build up that muscle playing in other events. And now they're down against the #1 seed, having given a break to start the game.
To be a team, though, to earn a top 4 seed and to make their way through pool play and the bracket in very convincing fashion, you have to have some mettle for sure. Even to pull out those longer points, Middlebury will be relying on that experience to get them back in this game. It also helps to have the Middlebury men on the opposite sideline joining in the cheers. Both teams, the pranksters, the women's team trying to get back into this one.
Kezia Wilde with a deep look, trying to hit Claire Babbitt-Bryant. Those are two of the biggest impact players for this Middlebury team, and not able to connect on that shot, but they will give Truman the full 70. So right now, Middlebury more incompletions than completions through these first two offensive possessions.
Never a good stat to start a game with, but at least Truman State with more to do than in the first point.
Tsunami able to complete a couple of passes, but that went a little high for Kayla Gerlt. So now Middlebury will get to pick up. Poaching defense clogs up the lane. So the pranksters reset, and now it's Wilde again. Wilde up ahead to a contested Babbitt-Bryant. So he gets to continue to Sidra Pearson. Resets off the line, and now Wilde again staying aggressive, looking for Babbitt-Bryant, who has a lot of separation, but has to go to ground to make the catch. So Middlebury comes up with a play to get their first hold, 1-1.
Fantastic read and grab there by Babbitt-Bryant, just tracking the disc as it almost trailed out of bounds. The nice throw here, a bit of that touch, disc angling towards the sideline, bit of a sliding grab there in front of the Middlebury men's team. They're excited for that, to see their women's squad on the board now, game all square at 1.
And these Middlebury programs are so connected, sharing the same name, which I think is very uncommon at the college level. Both teams are the pranksters, and that unity, the teams have the same attitudes, a lot of the same traditions and culture. It's something that, like I said, is a rarity, but for them it's a source of strength.
Absolutely a source of strength. On the other side, Truman State team making it back to the semifinals for the first time since 2015. Team largely based out of Missouri, so maybe not as well-known players, but still very successful. Huck going up here, but unable to connect. Throw just drops Middlebury with a chance here.
Middlebury's first break opportunity of this game. They know where their bread is buttered. I mean, we've seen them playing through their stars. However, both Wilde and Babbitt-Bryant are off the field. This is a very aggressive team. As you see yet another deep look. I got a chance to call them in the quarterfinals, and they play fast and loose. I mean, they like to attack as soon as they get the disc. And you're going to see them try and push the pace of this game whenever they have the opportunity to do so.
Both teams looking for those deep shots in the early going. We've seen some similar things on this field earlier today in the Division I women's quarterfinals. The Division III teams doing much the same. Truman State with the score.
Tsunami finds the end zone. Lauren Wiggins getting up the line and then leaving it on the doorstep for Rita Hinch. So that's a hold. Wiggins, a central offensive player for Tsunami.
Tsunami, a veteran team, as already mentioned. A well-established offensive system. Pair of up-the-line cuts. Makes it easy for Truman State to get the score. Hanch out of Kansas City, Missouri. One of the many, many veteran players on the Tsunami team. Tsunami with a number of players playing with mixed teams in the Kansas and Missouri area. 6 or 7 alumni playing with the mixed team. 7 Sins out of Kansas City, and a number of others playing with Locomotion, a mixed team out of the Columbia, Missouri area. For those folks who maybe aren't well acquainted with folks in the so-called flyover states, now is your chance. Truman State with an early lead, proving that we should all learn their names and get to know this program well.
TSU has been something of a mainstay near the top of the Division III women's side. Meanwhile, Middlebury, we talked about their connection with their men's program. Here's another connection, both in the semifinals. So both teams still looking at the potential to win a title, hoping to advance to that championship match. And it would be all the more special for them to do it together. They're going to have to get an upset over a Tsunami team that's looked pretty unstoppable. Able to get a stop there, although that may go back to Middlebury pending the outcome of this call.
Katie Bruggeman with the seaming block. Players discussing it now. Observers standing by.
Okay. So foul.
No call!
Oh, everyone hold. Wait for a ground check.
Sidra Pearson retracting the call after discussing with Bruggeman. Spirited decision. Positive interaction between the two players. That'll let Tsunami initiate again. Leading by a break. The early portion of this game. Now, Eileen Finley. But a contested reset, not a lot of room for that pass. Even less room thanks to the coverage of Josie Bourne. Reset to Sarah Rifkin. Around to Wilde. Babbitt Bryant tries to take off, but uses that to open up an underspace. Calling for the disc, but Wilde opts for a reset instead up the line. Knocked out of the hands of Rifkin. Looks like an uncontested foul. Babbitt Bryant takes off. Jump ball now headed her way. Two defenders in the area. And they are ignored and discarded by Claire Babbitt Bryant with the sky for a high impact score for Middlebury.
Incredible catch by Babbitt Bryant under so much defensive pressure from not one but two Tsunami defenders holding position. The throw just turning enough for Babbitt Bryant to get under it, reads it, established position, goes up, and maintains possession despite the contact. Disc is maybe a little bit beat up after that collision. Servers seeing how it is. We might get a new game disc here soon.
Players checking it out and see if they can get the observer stamp of approval. These two teams fighting for a spot in the Division III women's final. They'll take on the winner between Portland and St. Olaf, the 2 and the 3 seeds. They're battling it out right behind us now and have been similarly dominant. I mean, this has been all about the top seeds in this division, and that has made these matchups highly anticipated. Or excuse me, that's Portland and Carleton Eclipse. St. Olaf, the top seed in the D3 men's division. So Carleton and Portland trying to get into this matchup to see which one of these two teams they'll face. Got a lot of ultimate left to decide it. Wiggins holding just past the brick mark. Up ahead to Tiller. Wiggins and Tiller have really been the presence in the backfield for TSU, and a couple of players in the area there and maybe defending one another. It's too much traffic for Truman State. Disc goes to Middlebury.
Truman State getting a bit clogged on the near sideline, and two of their players blocking each other on that one.
And get ready, folks. There is not going to be any relent to these continued aggressive deep shots on the part of Middlebury. They tried to take one there and get the disc a little bit short of midfield on the quick turnover. Tiller dutifully comes and gets it underneath. Looking for options, has to reset it, and Wiggins absolutely leaves her defender in the dust with the upline cut, but not able to do anything with it. Tiller and Wiggins trying to get things organized. Tiller up the line, looking for a streaking Wiggins, and Wiggins beats her defender once again. Heavy dose of Lauren Wiggins to start this one. Truman State goes up 3-2.
Tsunami doing a much better job of cleaning up that offensive set, isolating cutters downfield, handlers working excellently in the backfield. Wiggins heavily involved just tracking that down, holding off the defender. Tsunami with eventually a nice point offense, getting touched up for that score as they take a 3-2 lead.
And sometimes when you're struggling to get those downfield connections going, you could just kind of play a two-person game. And right there, they relied on Tiller and Wiggins to shepherd them into the end zone. And having that veteran presence is really valuable, and it's one of the things that has been pointed to as a big advantage that Truman State has over the field.
Not very many young guns on the Tsunami roster. Just a few teenagers on the team, far more folks in their early to mid 20s on this heavily veteran Truman State roster. Looking set to pull now to Middlebury, a roller pull will get the job done to about 3/4 of the field. Middlebury starting with it now.
Meanwhile, some of the top players in the Pranksters are underclassmen. So this is a young team. There's certainly some veteran presences like Babbitt Bryan, but Wilde's just a sophomore. Cameron Newmock is one of the key players on the D-line for them, also just a sophomore. So the future bright for Middlebury. Truman State's all about the here and now. And a nice move from Middlebury. Sarah Rifkin matching Wiggins' downfield acumen with a cut for the open side to get a score, and we're back to even at threes.
Middlebury working fairly quickly there, staving off the pressure of the Truman State defense. Inside throws, mostly getting the job done, looking off the around throw. Inside throw just misses the covering Truman State defender, Rifkin. Nice little spike as Middlebury gets yet another goal.
Middlebury searching for a break to get this game back on serve, trailing the #1 overall seed. It's been an exciting weekend with a lot of upsets in Division I and some upsets in Division III, but not at the top. I mean, these teams have really shielded themselves from the rest of the division. But this is probably the kind of environment they've yet to play in. I mean, we talked about being pushed. I don't think a lot. I would be willing to bet that neither of these teams has seen a 3-3 score yet. I don't know that for a fact, but based on their final scores, it seems unlikely.
It's entirely possible. The Division I women's teams, though, all the top seeds out of those pools advancing to the semifinals, much in the way of their D3 counterparts. Plenty of women's division action today. D3 now after a couple of D1 quarterfinals earlier in the day.
72 college teams arriving here in Norco with hopes of a title. We've trimmed that down to just 16, including these two, as Babbitt Bryan intercepts the huck. Thought about trying to fire one deep, but things spaced out a little too much for that. So she and Wilde working the unders now. There's the option to look deep. She's gonna take that shot. Misread in the bright lights of the sun. Camila Parrish trying to find that, but the defensive pressure from Truman enough to get the disc back. Wiggins underneath the Tiller. I feel like I'm going to say those words pretty frequently. Tiller gets an option upfield. Finley with it. Tiller looking to Wiggins. trying to direct traffic, and Wiggins provides the safety valve. And now a deep shot from Tiller, a hanging forehand. Babbitt Bryant, just enough presence to keep that one from being completed. I don't think she got a hand on it, but if she wasn't there, that's probably a catch.
Beautifully angled throws from both teams on their hucks. Neither able to be completed. So Middlebury has another chance to move it up the field. Shooting once again.
And this time caught. I said it when we watched this team in quarterfinals. It's all gas, no brakes with Middlebury. That's how they like to play, and somehow Wilde is able to keep just a couple of tiny bits of toe in bounds. Gets the score for Middlebury. And we're back on serve as they break to make it 4-3.
For a moment, it looked like Babbitt Bryant's throw would just fade out of bounds, but instead holding onto the line just enough. We see the wonderfully angled throw from Truman State, but Babbitt Bryant in the area to deny it. Another huck, this one from Middlebury completed. Another angle on it. Receiver just reading the flight of that forehand throw, and indeed just able to toe the line. Classic toe drag to maintain possession inbounds. That's Middlebury break.
Claire Babbitt Bryant is most likely the brightest star left in the D3 women's division. Won the Rookie of the Year in 2019, but also was a first-team All-American as a first-year player. Also has competed with Boston Siege at the elite club level, and that type of experience is something that not a lot of other teams can turn to.
Yeah, absolutely. Babbitt Bryant getting experience on the biggest stages in both college and club. And again, not to say that Truman State's players haven't had club experience. They absolutely have. Doing it against the best teams, the best players that your division can offer is a different matter altogether, though.
Absolutely. Sarah Finley from Truman State, second runner-up for Breakout Player of the Year back in 2019. So chance to see how she has developed over these past couple seasons. It's one of the key cutters for Truman State, one of their goal-scoring leaders at Nationals in 2019. But we've seen that this team has been riding the play of its handlers. Lauren Wiggins and Tiller have both been absorbing a large volume of the touches and yardage for this team. Wiggins taking a break now, so it'll be just Tiller out there with Finley and the rest of this Truman State O-line.
Wiggins taking a little bit more of a role to make sure all of the lines are called correctly, players are accounted for. Truman State starts once again on offense. Middlebury playing some tight person defense.
Small windows for Truman State, and coming out of the timeout, they concede possession. A drop by Finley on the upline cut, and that starts things off for Middlebury, and a hammer towards the end zone. Gets them onto the goal line, some contact. Play's not stopped. Lander resets. Now a stoppage after Madeline Lander finds that backwards throw. Not sure as to what the call is.
Then the throw would go back to the original.
Okay, no, I guess I didn't have a chance to make a play.
Okay.
Oh, so you're just catching up.
Okay, thank you.
So coming in on one.
Middlebury calling out the play after that call is resolved. Now going cross field, and a number of pink jerseys in the area. Lander's the one who comes down with it. Catches the huck, catches the score. Great point from Madeline Lander and Middlebury. Back-to-back breaks.
Middlebury being aggressive after the drop from Truman State. Throwing the hammer, leg just coming off the ground to generate all of the momentum needed. Momentum not as much of an issue on the score from Lander. Middlebury back-to-back breaks with the momentum you had asked earlier when Middlebury went down initially with a break. If they were going to be able to respond. Respond they have. Now the question is right back to Truman State. Similar situation. Probably haven't been down, giving up a series of breaks this weekend. How does the veteran team respond here?
The terminology that we use for ultimate scoring is lifted directly from tennis. And right now this feels a little bit like a tennis match. You know, you hit me with a volley, I'm going to return it. And can you make the play when the ball's in your court? Right now the ball back in Truman State's court. And the ball in the hands of Lauren Wiggins, who has a uncovered target downfield, but a miscommunication about whether that should be an undercut or a deep cut. And that results in a turnover. Middlebury quickly tries to get into a vertical sack, but only to find that Truman State's in a zone. And that confusion leads to a quick turnover the other way. Wiggins motioning for her team to calm down. Tiller, long underneath cut developing. Able to get it to Madison Fulte. And Fulte tries to force one in. Great coverage on the part of Middlebury. No foul on the play. So defending the red zone effectively, the pranksters fighting off Truman.
Early in this point, both teams just with miscommunication errors. Tsunami able to clean it up a bit, but the pranksters with the end zone defense trying to put it deep once more, unable to. Wiggins walking over to put it back into play for Truman State.
That one getting over Lander's head, a really tough read on the flight of that disc. So now short field opportunity for Truman. But Wiggins is going to try and use every inch of that short field with a throw towards the back line, but it escapes the confines of the field.
Wiggins trying to point to where she wanted to put that disc, but the throw a bit too strong for how far away she was from the end zone. Just out of bounds, a little bit of an attempted toe drag, but effectively always sailing long. Truman State in a zone. Wiggins with the block.
Great defense, an emphatic block by Wiggins, who's now commanding the team. I mean, you can see the leadership on display from Lauren Wiggins, an experienced player leading an experienced team. And finds the end zone for Truman State to end the run. Of course, it's Tiller on the other end, and that's going to make it 5-4 Middlebury.
Wiggins maybe a bit disappointed that the earlier throws weren't converted in one form or another, making amends with the block. And the connection with Tiller is clear. Tiller, great grab under pressure from Middlebury. It's a hold from Tsunami. They draw back level with Middlebury for all.
Tiller, one of those players from Seven Sins, as you mentioned, out of Warrensburg, Missouri, and is one of the grad students, 25 years old, and has been able to apply that experience very effectively in this game. She and Wiggins have been extremely reliable for Truman. They're going to probably need to be involved if Truman wants to get back in front of Claire Babbitt-Bryant and this Middlebury squad. Truman discussing a little bit, some clarifications with the observers. You see that excited Middlebury sideline. High energy group. I mean, that is the Middlebury brand. It's probably the strongest in all of Division III Ultimate. They like to have fun. They don't take themselves too seriously, as indicated by the name Pranksters, but they come out and play quality ultimate, that's for sure. Babbitt Bryan has a wide open receiver, and she delivers a backhand right to her. Sidra Pearson into the end zone. Middlebury with a quick hold to make it 6-4.
You never want to give Claire Babbitt Bryan an opportunity to hit a receiver who is unguarded. Acres of space for the Middlebury receiver. They continue to be in control of this one. Currently sitting about a 6-4 lead, couple break advantage now to the team of the Northeast area.
Claire Babbitt Bryan with a pair of assists, a goal, and 2 blocks. Wiggins matching that exact stat line. So stars matching stars here in the semifinal. D3 Women's Division at Silver Lake Sports Complex. And we've been bringing coverage all weekend. We're coming down to those final rounds. We have video from games from D1, from D3, from the club championships, from college regionals. Going back into the archives. You want to get access to all of that footage as well as the other benefits we have to offer. Check out ultiworld.com subscription plans. You can find those at ultiworld.com/subscribe, including getting access to the subscriber bonus segments of our 7500 Club podcast, the only podcast all about D3 Ultimate. Shout out to 7500 Club. 7500, a reference to the number of students that delineates a team as a Division III team, their student body. So small schools. Big ultimate, however. Cameron Umach in on that play against Tiller, but Tiller arguing that there was some illegality to that play.
No call there, a clean block from the Middlebury defender. Gives them another chance to break and further extend their lead.
Captain Rachel Zeller starts play with a swing. Then Jenny Bob Bizzle Clark gets it across the field. Looking for a reset. Finds an option upfield. Middlebury trying to press their advantage with another break after that block by Umach. Umach save and grab. Umach, a really aggressive thrower, one of the most so on an aggressive throwing team, and it works out. A forehand towards the back of the end zone that drifts towards a receiver, and a leaping catch from Middlebury to get them within 1 goal of taking half in this semifinal.
Grace Kellogg able to just hold off Truman State's Eileen Finley for the score. It's now a 3-goal margin to Middlebury after an early deficit. The block by Umach, floated throw back the other way, reeled in, confirmation of the goal and the spike. Middlebury needing just 1 more point to take it into half. Games to 15. Claire Babbitt Bryan out there giving direction to her team, trying to energize them to yet another break that could seal the halftime lead.
It was only a matter of time before Cameron Umach began to influence this game from the defensive side. Gets the block and throws the assist for Middlebury. She's back out there for another defensive possession, and she was taking on that Tiller matchup, giving up some size there, but they needed to apply pressure to these Truman State handlers who have been the guiding force of their offense. Wiggins taking a break now, so they'll turn to other personnel to get that work done. Nice undercut from Geralt. Geralt looking to reset. Finds a small window to fit the disc through. Faulty now. Schulte running out of time. He's going to fire one up towards the end zone. It's hanging for a pack of defenders. A lot of contact, but that's an and one. Although they're not going to count the score, but fantastic catch. A lot of toughness from Bruggeman, but given away on the goal line. A great play prior to that, but a painful mistake for Truman State. Ali DiPaolo with the run-through block.
Incredible fortitude on that catch under pressure. Dropped the play, but Truman State unable to convert.
Dodson throwing some huge fakes. Natalie Dodson resetting the disc back to Zeller. And this is one of the longest sustained series of undercuts I feel like we've seen from a Middlebury team that has been firing the disc towards the end zone. Cross-field throw gets beyond the reach of the reset, and the help is not able to get there on the second effort, so Truman State with a second chance.
Great patience shown by Middlebury on that offensive possession, but a miscommunication on that reset leads to the turn. Truman State still a long ways to go, though, before they can punch in the hold, but they need to stay in this one. Unable to do it on that throw.
Hotly contested under. Kayla Girl hustling to try and make the play, but Elise Chan applying too much pressure for a completion. Umack underneath, but loses the handle on that catch. Tiller picks it up and looks to fire. Nicely defended by the Pranksters. Tiller, second deep look, has a target, slide and catch. Again, it's Bruggeman. Bruggeman showing a real ability to make tough catches. Resets, and now Truman State trying to organize their red zone offense. And up the line for the score is Geralt. Had the turnover earlier, but makes up for it with a great catch. And Truman State brings the lead back down to 3. Or to 2, excuse me.
Truman State finally able to get the hold. Big throws both ways. The collision. Bruggeman able to hold on, but because it's just outside, Pranksters able to get the block on the reset. Miscommunication from Middlebury on the other end, though. Truman State taking some time to move the disc up the field, except when they can find Bruggeman with yet another deep grab. And it's a jumping, scoring grab from Geralt for the Truman State hold. They're still down, Keith, but a good hold, and with just a break here, would feel like they have a much better chance of getting back into this game against Middlebury.
Down but not out, and they've got Wiggins back out on the field. It's got to inspire some hope. I love Bruggeman learning the lesson of that first time that she had trouble resetting it, when she hadn't really turned around to the last second that she wanted to throw. Second time that she caught it, she made a real direct turnaround, made that reset a much easier throw to complete. Smart play by Bruggeman. More of the same from Middlebury. That well just will not run dry as they go back to the deep game to take half. Pearson, she's caught him, she's thrown him. She has Middlebury up 8-5.
Middlebury continues to be unafraid to attack the deep space, and when you have consistent receivers and throwers willing to put up those tough throws, can make life rather easy. The emphatic spike. Josie Bourne, the one on that reception. Middlebury with a lead over top-seeded Truman State. Attacking the deep space well. So they hold a halftime lead, 8-5. Middlebury leading Truman State. We'll be back with the second half in just a bit.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds, defy the naysayers,
And even defy gravity.
A place where it's accepted that success
doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave, to the determined.
a place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
a place where we remember to laugh,
Where we learn to trust.
Learn to high-five strangers.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
Are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play ultimate, we live ultimate.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change.
Around a whole range of important issues. And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
Athletic pursuit.
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
That there's nothing we can't achieve.
when we
Pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
UltiWorld's live streaming coverage of the 2021 College Championships is presented in part by AGW Ultimate. You can find them at agwultimate.com, and they want to remind you, just say no to Big Ultimate. Welcome back to UltiWorld's live streaming coverage of the 2021 USA Ultimate Division III College Championships at the Silver Lakes Sports Complex in Norco, California. Keith Rayner here with Jenna Weiner as we get ready to start the second half of this semifinal. Middlebury, the lower seed, with the lead. 8-5 up on Truman State, riding that deep game towards a berth into the final. Truman State, however, they've had some great offensive moments, but they have just not been able to slow down the long-ranged attack of Middlebury. Jenna, what adjustments can they make to try and take that away from Middlebury?
Try and make sure that you keep the disc out of the hands of Claire Babbitt-Bryan. Feels like a good place to go. Obviously, maybe some more straight-up marks, if Tsunami are not already doing it, can help at least make the deep throws a bit more difficult for Middlebury. At the end of the day, it may come down simply to execution. We've seen some unforced errors from both teams. Another one there on Truman State's first offensive point out of half, giving Middlebury an immediate break opportunity.
We're a long way from how this game started when Truman State opened with a break. Since then, it's felt like it's been all Middlebury, and now the pranksters pouring it on. One of the rare Huckless scores, although it leads right into a somersault and a 4-goal lead for the Pranksters.
No need to huck it if you can get the disc on an unforced error. 25, 30 yards out of the end zone. Some low throws from Middlebury, but the final one out of reach of the defender. A little bit of a tumble, but a joyous tumble at that. A break out of half. Great way to start if you're Middlebury. 9-5 lead. Truman State needs to bounce back. It needs to hold to steady the ship before this one gets out of hand.
And what would make me nervous if you're a Tsunami fan is that this is when Middlebury is at their best. This was the case for them in past years and earlier in the season, earlier in this tournament. When they start playing well and they start having a lot of fun, they just keep playing better. This is a team that once they get rolling, it can be really hard to take back the momentum from them because they have such great energy. You know, they have a great sideline presence during halftime. They're doing a dance. They have like a team dance that they like to do during the halftimes. And, you know, that energy is infectious for them, and it just ends up making them continue to play better, have more fun. It can be difficult to disrupt that once they get in the rhythm, but it'll be on Truman State to prove they can do it. Wiggins trying to look deep to start things off, but smacked to the ground. It's Molly Gallagher, and they initiate play the other way as well.
Energy can carry a defense a long way. It certainly seems like the energy is carrying Middlebury now. Great grab.
Another long throw, and then immediately pointing further downfield. All gas, no brakes. Middlebury, another break into the end zone for 10-5.
Middlebury running absolutely rampant. Truman State barely a moment to breathe. The Pranksters shooting, getting the celebration line going. They are indeed on a break train, celebrating accordingly. Truman State trudging back to the line a bit. Very, very different energy and feeling on either end of the pitch at the moment. All Middlebury so far in the second half.
And you know, this is actually exactly what I witnessed from the team in the quarterfinals when they ran over their opponent there too. Is once they got into the second half, they had built up a lead, and all of a sudden the celebration started to become a little more complex, a little more team involved, and the other team could just never get back in front of them. This looks a lot like what I saw yesterday from this Middlebury team, and that's not a good sign for Truman State. Another change, Middlebury did not have a coach yesterday. I don't know that they necessarily have coaches now. They don't have anybody listed in their event guide or anything like that. They may have a couple of alums helping out, because there are some folks helping direct traffic from the sideline and between points. So Middlebury maybe getting a little strategic help too. Truman, plenty of experience to turn to, including Tiller, comes underneath. But they've got to get things moving in their direction quickly. Pressured throw, but creative look by Tiller going cross field. And then the high throw into the end zone, reeled in by Tsunami. They finally get the kind of playmaking they've been looking for. Well, Hogerby with the goal.
Sometimes you need a lucky break or two to go your way to settle and stabilize your team when you're being broken. The throw being bobbled, caught, and then a great catch under pressure. 4 players there, 2 from each team, contesting for the disc. But it's Truman State able to come down with it. They narrow the margin to 10-6, but still a pretty steep hill to climb.
And accordingly, I mean, Truman State still looks a bit frustrated, maybe just focused as they come onto the line, but a very different energy after that score for TSU than what we've seen from a very celebratory Middlebury team. However, that certainly could just be different types of energy from these two teams, not necessarily one superior to the other, but this Truman State team looking to get on a run like what they've been facing from Middlebury. They'd love to turn the tide in favor of the Tsunami. Wiggins perhaps joining the D-line now as they're know they're going to need some playmaking from this side of the disc. Kezia Wilde looking to initiate, and of course looking to strike deep. And who else but Babbitt Bryan? Wiggins giving chase. These stars are going to go one-on-one. Babbitt Bryan gets there second. Wiggins holds her off.
Great angle from Wiggins to ensure that Babbitt Bryan could not get to the disc, couldn't even really make a credible play. Players hitting the turf downfield. Truman State tries to find a reset.
Tough catch in the lane. Wiggins taken away thus far by Babbitt Bryant. Has not been able to do that upline cutting that she's been so effective at. And there, the presence of Babbitt Bryant helps force that throw wide on the attempt to reach Wiggins. So Wiggins may have won the battle on the first throw, but Babbitt Bryant striking back. And now leaving Wiggins to find room on the under, and they continue throw, excellently executed by Babbitt Bryant. A little IO backhand back towards the midfield. And Middlebury responds with a hold to make it 11-6.
Absolutely nasty cut by Babbitt Bryant. Leaves Wiggins on the floor. Sliding catch. And then the touchy inside throw for the score. Babbitt Bryant continues to say her name. She continues to excel.
Put him on skates, Claire. I mean, she is angling for a potential player of the year. I mean, she's got the rookie of the year. She's got the first team All-American. Could we be talking about the best player in Division III women's? Very, very possibly.
I don't think that's much of a stretch just from what I have seen in this game. Especially so if Babbitt Bryant can lead Middlebury to the final, maybe even national championship.
So Middlebury, the reigning New England champs, a vaunted region, as we talked about previously. New England Regional, 6 teams, every one of them in our D3 Top 25, unheard of. But still facing down the #1 seed, but making it look easy as they've built a 5-goal lead. This is the type of test I imagine Truman has not seen anything like this yet. Now Tiller, tough grab, looking towards the end zone, but hanging it just a little bit. Bobbled catch, but unclear if it was in bounds, and was not. Great effort, but girl who's been working their tail off downfield can't quite make the catch on that one. Quick turnover though by Middlebury. So Truman State with another chance, and of course it's Tiller who initiates underneath and fires towards the end zone, and a streaking receiver snags it out of the air. That's Hogreby back again in the end zone.
Tsunami able to make that work on the second time of asking. This time they're the ones putting out the deep throw. Hogreby, just 20 years old, junior, one of the younger members of this Truman State team, racing to run down that throw for the Tsunami hold.
And with Wiggins playing a bit more defense here in the second half, Tiller has been pushed into an even bigger role, if there is such a thing, for this Truman State offense, but has really risen to the occasion, consistently providing that initiating cut and obviously triggering their deep game as well. Tiller crossing over to the defense now is, Truman State's actually kind of running out of time here. I mean, there's certainly time left on the clock, but with only 4 Middlebury scores remaining between them and a berth in the finals, Truman State's not going to have a big margin for error coming down the final stretch of this game. I mean, in a lot of ways, you'd say we're entering the fourth quarter.
Definitely, especially with how early and often and quickly Middlebury tries to get the disc down the field. We see a zone look from Truman State, mixing it up.
I like that a lot. I was wondering if we were going to see something like this from them. Take away the deep game, see if you can make Middlebury work it a little bit more, throw a few more throws, or maybe just have a deep poach who can make a play on one of those hucks should it go up.
Or just throw a different look at all. Force the tough throw that fades out of bounds as we hear a horn, but early enough that not even necessarily for this game with both Division 1 and Division 3 still with games remaining. Truman State shooting, scoring. That's a break. They trim Middlebury's lead down to 3, using the pranksters' own medicine against them with that perfectly weighted throw.
Another
pressure that Truman State puts on forces the Middlebury mistake. The inside tough throw by Tiller, caught by Sarah Finley for the goal. Tiller again being central to everything that is working for Tsunami at this moment.
I'm thinking Tsunami might go back to that zone.
And as soon as they pulled it out, it was the thought of exactly, can you slow down? Can you force a different look? Not to say that Middlebury can't adapt, can't find ways to move it around, through, or over the zone that we, I think, should expect to see going forward in this game, but it certainly takes away that first look.
One of our fellow commentators, Katie Killebrew, and I were discussing cycling through different defensive strategies, and she said, you know, if you don't try forehand force, backhand force, and zone in a game, you're doing your defense a disservice. Got to try all the different looks and see what's going to work and make sure that you're disrupting the rhythm of your opponent's offense. And so, again, we are seeing a poach now from Truman, but Middlebury finding a bit more success advancing through it. And as I say that, a mistake trying to reset the disc. Wiggins again around for a block. And who else but Tiller making the first cut.
Tiller and Wiggins coming up huge for Truman State as they try and stage this comeback.
Tiller with nowhere really to go, so she fires a punt, makes sure that Middlebury's going to have to set back up and face this zone again.
Middlebury's defense downfield certainly effective in forcing tough throws from Truman State, but does put them in the back corner. Facing that tough zone, putting it up. Tiller.
Jump ball, but Tiller has that one the whole way. An interesting defensive set for Truman. It looks like they're matching up the handlers. Diamond downfield. Speaking of downfield, this throw traveling downfield to a pack of players. Nobody can come up with it. That may give Middlebury a chance to fast break before the zone sets up.
I feel like I've almost seen the team swap jerseys. Shooting deep early and often. Great defensive pressure. It's not Middlebury, it's Truman State. Both teams showing out in the semifinal. Tsunami making it a tight game as we wind down towards the final half hour.
Wilde taking off from the handler space, looking deep, and now one-on-one with Tiller. Great physical presence from Jessica Tiller to make sure that the sizable Wilde could not get to it.
It's a fun matchup downfield. Tiller winning it this time. 25-year-old graduate playing a central, coming under. First throw for Wiggins, as has been the norm nearly every offensive possession. Those two have been on the field together. Tiller shooting deep.
DJ, play that song one more time. Tiller underneath, forehand, Huck. Completion for Truman as they approach the end zone. You got to start fronting Tiller at some point, right? You got to try and get in front of her. She resets to Wiggins. Wilde in coverage, but tries to get it around Pearson, but a foul call. Critical moment in this game, the outcome of this stoppage. 3-goal lead for Middlebury. Truman State score could really change the tone of this game. Observers are going to be involved.
Freeze.
So it is a foul, and Bruggeman will get the disc in the red zone. Another one of those scary resets back to Tiller, but completed. Wiggins trying to get up the line. Wilde cuts it off. Cross-field throw for Tiller. Defender falls down, but Bruggeman loses sight of it. So a chance for a huge score for Tsunami, but just washes up harmlessly onto the shore.
Pretty sure that this went through 2 Tsunami players' hands. As they apply pressure with the zone. Middlebury able to get through another hook.
Truman asking so much of Tiller. A lot of sprinting on Tiller's part, who's played so many points. But they send 3 players deep, and that's enough to get the disc past Tiller. Another great forehand throw from Wilde, and the continued score for Middlebury. And just like that, Truman State goes from a couple yards away from making it a 2-goal game, and now they're back down 4 after that quick striking prankster offense.
Tiller trying to make it all happen. Turnover, the miss, the throw for the Middlebury score. That's Sidra Pearson for Middlebury. Tiller working so hard out there for Truman State. After the score, just laying on the ground, exhausted. Truman State taking time, if anything, just to give their star players a breather, down 4, knowing that they will need to continue to rely on Wiggins, Tiller, and company in the points to come.
And credit to Wilde for showing off the forehand power, which I've seen plenty of her if you watch this Middlebury club at any point. That dangerous ranging forehand has been a critical throw for this offense. And they're recognizing that Tiller had committed it underneath a little bit more than usual. She had some players streaking, so all she really had to do was get it past Tiller. And there, Tiller able to make it a close play, but with the power behind that throw, Wilde able to get it just past the defender.
So close from Tiller, time and again applying so much defensive pressure. Pranksters just able to get under that throw and make those last couple passes into the end zone. We have reached the half-hour mark into the final 30 minutes. Middlebury up by 4. Truman State's zone looking strong, but will continue to be a tough test, with Middlebury only needing 3 to close out the game.
The opposite semifinal, scores coming a bit slower, as you can imagine, given all the Hucks in this one. So Portland with a 7-6 lead on Carleton. The lower seeds in both semifinal with the lead right now. Another block for Middlebury. It's Grace Kellogg making the play. Stoppage or pick call, I think. Reinitiated with Chan. Big wide mark, maybe an adjustment from Truman to try and slow down some of these deep throws. You talked about potentially trying out some flatter marks. And in other ways, you can sometimes take a couple steps back, cover a little more width. Finley figures things out downfield and gets ready to set up a mark. And there's still some confusion. It needs to be settled. Looks like it's about the timing of the violation and how that'll affect the continuation rule. Or how the continuation rule will affect the outcome, I should say. Middlebury back underway. Really tough inside edge throw. Second effort from Kellogg. But it'll be Truman's disc. Tiller comes under and is open, and somebody else gets in the way. Good thing it was a teammate. Now Tiller to Finley. Or Sullivan, excuse me. Sullivan towards the end zone. Hanger. And another bobbled catch. Physical play from Geralt. I mean, that is their signature. All elbow grease.
It's been that kind of tough, grinded out point for both teams. Gretel really giving all the effort possible to get that one. The disc, trailing edge, going the wrong way. Tiller with the block on the underthrow.
Tiller is everywhere for Truman State. Looking to reset. Of course, it's Wiggins back there. Tiller and Wiggins exchanging backwards throws, and now Tiller looking towards the end zone. Another hanger. Receiver attacks. Can't come up with it. So it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of Hucks here at this game. I hope you're not full, because I think we may see more coming.
Speaking of which, though in this point, maybe players bring down just a bit. A lot of the same names we have said point after point out on the field at the moment for both Truman State and Middlebury. Tiller once again with the disc on the near sideline, shooting. It's Girl. That's a Tsunami goal. It's now 9-12 in favor of Middlebury. But an encouraging hold for Truman State, able to punch it in after a number of missed opportunities.
Long, hard point, and I think that favors Middlebury here, who, somewhat to my surprise, given the depth of experience on this Truman State roster, looks like a little bit of a deeper team. They're able to take Wilde and Babbitt Bryan off the line for some of these deep points, while Wiggins and Tiller, it feels like, are starting to play almost every point. At least one of them out there every point, if not both. And I think that's probably going to start to gas this Truman State team a little bit, especially if they have to play long points like that. And Tiller sprinting all the way from one end of the field to the other. But, you know, these are two experienced, tough players and smart players who know how to conserve energy and when to step on the gas. So it'll be a tough test for them. But this Middlebury team has proven to have some depth. And that could be a key advantage as we come down the home stretch.
Absolutely. Although with Truman State back on defense, we'll see if we see that zone once again from them to try and slow down and prevent some of those Middlebury Hucks.
Based on their pull coverage, it does look like they're going to be trying the zone, although a bit of disorganization has left a lot of room. That lets Middlebury get off to the races. Wilde resets and goes all the way around the horn. Valentine, Babbitt Bryan. And it looks like Truman's transitioning quickly to match up now. And intercepted by Wiggins. Just jumping the line on that one. Tiller looking for options, running out of time. Wiggins there just in the nick of time. She points deep. Probably doesn't have to ask too many times to get that kind of look. Tiller dances, well defended. Potentially a stall call. Nice job by Josie Bourne, denying Tiller that reset. So it looks like hand signals indicating contested stall, which means we'll come in on 8. Wouldn't be surprised to see a throw go long here. And that leaves a jump ball, and not a high likelihood of completion, but higher than potentially turning it over in your own backfield. So not a chance for them to set, and that frees up a deep look. Babbitt Bryant trying to put it to space for Pearson, but a little bit too much space on that one.
Both teams really working hard to try and get those deep looks to work. Middlebury trying to move the disc early before Truman State can set that zone.
Tiller wide throw up for Sullivan. And, but again, this is another multi-possession point with a lot of running both ways, and that may have an impact on Tiller, Wiggins, and company. Mistake from Truman State gives the disc to Middlebury past midfield. Pranksters looking to push that lead out to 4, excuse me. Babbitt Bryant. Back to Valentine. Pearson in the back. Watch for Pearson from the back of the stack. She put her hand up. She's waiting to strike here. Player's moving a little bit while the disc is stopped. But if they're not going to call it, I'm not either. Because I can't. It's against the rules. Middlebury resets. Now here's Babbitt Bryant underneath. Wiggins poaching the lane. So Babbitt Bryant goes the opposite direction. And then comes right back to it. A savvy move. Nice chemistry on display still between Babbitt Bryant and Wilde. Makes the reset, and then 7 cuts right to the front cone. Another goal for Middlebury.
Great handler movement and patience from Middlebury. Babbitt Bryant generating plenty of space even in the tight end zone window. The fake one way, the throw back across to the other. Bryant on the near sideline. Middlebury not far away now, just a few more points left if the Pranksters can continue to hold, which they've done pretty consistently throughout this game. 2 goals, 2 assists from Babbitt Bryant. Very solid stat line along with some great pressure defense along the way.
It's hard for me to imagine a series of events that would result in a player being a better selection for player of the game than Claire Babbitt Bryant. I mean, it would have to be something truly remarkable given the effort she's put forth in this one. However, that does not guarantee a win. Truman State with nothing to lose, so expect them to keep putting it all on the line to try and reach that final and get their chance at winning a championship. These chances do not come frequently, and given the level of experience on this team, the type of players they're going to lose going into the 2022 spring, I imagine that they may have to take a step backwards. So this is a big opportunity for Tsunami. Hanch resets to Wiggins, eyes that downfield space. Cuts are certainly starting to slow down, I think, as fatigue sets in on these players, but that won't stop Hanch from coming underneath, and that frees up Geralt, but it bounces out of Geralt's hands. Geralt has had a couple of drops, made some really tough catches as well, but a key mistake for Tsunami. Unmarked throw for Chan, and then Humak dials up a deep shot, but Tiller's the only receiver in the area. She's not on her team.
So from Truman State working again Tiller menace in the deep space.
Finley manages to get her hands on that one, and Wiggins back up the line. This is what Truman State wants to see in an unusual throw. The forehand side hammer from Wiggins, but she looks like she does that every other day. Drops that into the back corner for an assist.
One of the more, I would say, interesting throws I have seen all day. Starts as a blade straight up and down before turning over into effectively a hammer. Wiggins getting creative to get Tsunami into the end zone and able to make it work. His hand. So if it works, it works, right?
I literally can't think of a single advantage to throwing a hammer in that situation over throwing a forehand, except for one, the highlight reel. I mean, it's going to look good.
Maybe knowing that defenders were coming in to pressure the throw and the receivers from the middle of the end zone.
Maybe if the defenders see you like winding up the hammer, they slow down thinking you're going to go cross field. So it's like a juke. I cannot explain. It's inexplicable to me what just happened. But you know what? I say it all the time. There's no style points in this game. All the goals count the same. Wiggins going to get an assist for it no matter how you slice it. And still plenty of game to play. I mean, they are working on this comeback, and maybe that can inject some energy into this team. The sideline's been a little subdued. And Middlebury's certainly feeding into that with their rapid offense. Crossfield throw from Babbitt Bryant just gets by Tiller. A gutsy decision from Claire Babbitt Bryant.
The vision to hit that window. It is so minuscule. Tiller has that lane all but covered.
And the element of surprise on that throw as opposed to the hammer, I think you could see the clear advantage. There's no way that Tiller thought that was the look that Babbitt Bryant was going to take in that moment. And maybe Babbitt Bryant meant to throw this with a little more edge to get cross field, but whatever it was, I mean, she just piloted that on the line right past Tiller.
Any more edge, and Wiggins gets the run through D from the backside. Somehow, Babbitt Bryant managed to thread the needle underneath the arms of Wiggins, just past the outstretched fingertips of Tiller for the Middlebury score. They are one away, Keith, from making it to the final.
Yeah, that's a pony throw right there. It's too early. I don't want to crown anybody too early, but show me something better, because that was something else. Middlebury now just a goal away from reaching the final, knocking out the top overall seed, Truman State, along the way. What does Tsunami have in the tank? Going to need a comeback for the ages. Sullivan underneath. Wiggins still going. I don't know how she and Tiller are playing with this kind of pace, but they're standing up tough against this Middlebury squad and back into the end zone for a quick hold. Make it 14-11.
Wiggins to Hanch once again on this shorter roster for Tsunami. Those key players continue to make the plays. A nice, simple, quick score, exactly what Truman State needed. Question remains, can they get a break? They need breaks, and breaks is all they need. Can they get them against a fired up Middlebury team, putting some of the best players on their line?
Hear me out, Jenna. Hear me out. I know this is going to sound crazy. All right. You're playing against a team that loves to huck the disc. What's a way to get a turnover on a team that loves to huck the disc to anybody open? Snake in the grass. They'll never see it coming. Come on, there's no way. And you know they would throw it. You know it.
It's certainly possible.
I think it's highly unlikely.
I'm counting 7 upright players for Truman State. Doesn't seem like that's the option that they're going with.
That would be a call, gutsiest call I've ever seen. I would die though. I'd love it. However, these Truman State these Middlebury throwers are so good they might even complete it anyway. I mean, they've delivered some really high quality hucks. It's not a just spray and pray approach. Now Pearson looking for Babbitt Bryan with a beautiful IO backhand, and that is the dagger. If you thought Middlebury was going to go down just because they're playing the #1 seed, well, the joke's on you. Pranksters to the final.
The angle control, you said it's not just a spray and pray approach. The angle control on that throw that enabled Babbitt Bryan to chase it down, an inside angle that just floats perfectly. Babbitt Bryan to get underneath Pearson. Point perfect huck to seal the deal for Middlebury. The Pranksters advancing to the final with time to spare in a quick but decisive 15-11 win.
That's the only way this team knows how to play. I really believe it. I mean, they're going to live and die by the deep game, but it's just of the caliber that it's so difficult to stop. I mean, throws that for other teams feel like they're 50-50s are more like 65-35s for this team. I mean, it is remarkable how effective they are. But you know what? They showed off some versatility too. They faced off with the zone. They kept the disc moving, worked the unders. This is a very impressive Middlebury program, and they are not done yet.
One more game to go for them. Facing that Truman zone mix up the Pranksters a bit. The veteran team making the adjustment needed to get them back into the game after the Pranksters expanded the margin at the start of the second half. Truman State, a veteran team that I would say rightfully earned or near rightfully earned that top seed. Just wasn't enough, maybe too short of a roster with so much reliance on the outstanding talents of Tiller and Wiggins and company.
A couple of unforced execution errors that I'm sure they're going to want back, but they're going to be proud of the effort they put forward this weekend, crushing so much of the competition that they faced. But this was just a buzzsaw that they ran into. So an impressive performance by Truman State, who will finish tied for third. So plenty to be proud of. But it's Middlebury who will have a chance to add to the trophy case with a Division III championship. Their men's team's going to be doing the same, so we've talked about UNC maybe pulling it off in D1. Middlebury maybe going to do it in D3, riding that deep game. Dance on, Middlebury. You're heading to the final.